Pencil Power. Why, hello there, art adventurers. Today we shall be drawing the head from 3/4 view, and I'm going to try to make this as simple and easy as possible. Though not perhaps revolutionary, I think the tips that I shall share and impart on you here will help you to make more sense of this and kind of, some I'm going to try to focus on the kind of like mindset and tips that I feel like really make the difference to making the 3/4 face actually feel like a proper face. Obviously, this is something I'm still working on, as we're always working on everything. But you're going to start with the sphere and go ahead and put a line down here as if you're dividing this sphere. But don't worry about it too much because these are all going to be guidelines that you'll change later on. But this is going to give you an idea of where the chin is, right? Then from here, you're going to go around somewhere around there, not halfway, not all the way back, somewhere around 3/4 of the area, and go ahead and connect that. Then, one thing you want to keep in mind, and I'm going to show you another way to do this, because I actually really like this way too, is to draw something like that, like a piece of paper. So you can start with the top like this, and just draw 2 lines down, one there, and you kind of have a mask here, right? So I'm going to show you 2 ways to draw the face from 3/4 views here. I want you to think of this part down here, over here, and then you're going to make a mark somewhere, not all the way there, but a little bit inside, right? You connect those and then connect up. Now remember, this is just all going to be guidelines, so we don't want to get too attached to them. We're going to sculpt the face once we get further along in this process. Like I can already tell that this is going, that this one's going too much straight up and down. I want to bring it in like that, but we'll get to that. So don't be too attached to making this really, perfect to begin with. That's one tip I would suggest, especially if you're starting out. The next thing we want to do is make the nose, and we want the nose not to be flat. See how it's kind of sitting there? We want that nose to stick out. But we don't want to go too crazy maybe, but it's better to go too crazy than not crazy enough. So I'm going to exaggerate it. And so what I'm doing here is I'm using this nose shape that you'll see from the easiest face drawing method video that I put up. But we're skewing it so that this side is longer, and you'll see how this works out in a second. But that's going to give you the basic laying the nose out. And what we really want to do is start to create the face like a mountain. So if you look at the face from complete profile view, right, it's got this mountainous vibe. There's really a lot of jutting out on the lips, on the nose. Actually, I'll leave that there. On the brow ridge, even. So you don't want your 3/4 face to look too flat. So you want the nose coming out, and you want the eyeballs going in. So actually, what I like to do is to do these kind of ovals that are at this angle, right? And then inside the ovals are the eyeballs. Okay, and what you'll see is the top of this oval creates the eye ridge. All this is going to be quite exaggerated for now, because I'd rather over-exaggerate while I'm learning, and I suggest you do the same thing rather than under-exaggerate, because you want to start to get a feel for the different areas, ridges, and stuff of the face. And then the same with the nose or the mouth. We can just literally just do something like that. Just a little sideways M, and have the lips. I'm not going to bother too much. You see, like if you're really getting into it, you're going to have, a shape like that where it's another M. But you can literally just, I want to keep it simple, you can just do a straight line, tilting slightly downwards, all right? You already see how this is kind of coming along, right? So, and then here, we've got a cheekbone. So you can also exaggerate that if you want. Or you can, you can play with it how you want. So now you can see like, oh, okay. Well, and the last thing we want is the chin. Why don't we put a little circle where we want the chin? And it's going to go in and then come back out. See what I'm saying? It's got another dip. This is what we really want to get, the ins and the outs. And from here, we'll find, oh look, our chin is way too low here, right? So let's go ahead and just carve it out. And how do we know how far back we want the jaw? Well, I like to place the ear. So I'm going to find a decent amount of space between the eyes. Like, oh, even you could, I just realized, is if you had the guy wearing sunglasses. Imagine there's, at least, because I used to put my ears way too close. But that's way too short for sunglasses, for glasses. They need that would look silly. You want them to go about as far back, so that the sunglasses rest comfortably. And then from there, don't go straight down. I guess you could if the guy has a very square jaw. But kind of coming in at a slight inward angle. You see what's happening here? And if it's a female, this might be completely rounded, or if the guy doesn't have a sharp jaw. But I think it's easier to start with more angular, and then soften things up. So you kind of have an idea of exactly what you're going for. And then I won't get too much into the eyes, because I feel like that's a whole nother, a whole video in and of itself. And I want to just focus on the main structure of the 3/4 view. But you see how you can basically take, what I've done here is there's a big old eyeball. This is probably a little big. Imagine if your eyeballs were that big in your head. So this isn't the best proportions. And that's why I didn't go all the way back here, because then you would have giant eyes. But I cut it out a little bit smaller. Right? And just something like that. Okay? Cool. And so what we have here is the basic 3/4 view head. One thing you might want to keep in mind is that this part is like flattened, right? And so you'll get a shadow there, and then you could have the cheekbones kind of coming in like that to feel the rest of the shape out. This is where the planes change. Cool. And you put the eyebrows in and everything like that, and you fill out the rest, and you basically got the structure. They'll do another video. I have one on my old channel about drawing the nose from 3/4 view, but there's a very simple, actually no, I posted a great video on this channel about the 3 stages of nose drawing, from the most simple level to like more realistic. And why am I having trouble here right now? It's not really working out for me as much as I'd like. There we go. Just cutting out that little nostril. And that alone already gives you a strong idea of, there, it's very simple to get a nose in. And then we have, this part is that part. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. So you've already gotten the face, and then the neck is going to have a slight kind of curve back like that, balanced out by this muscle right here. So you decide where you have your collarbones. All right, I'm going to keep it very simple and not, have too many curves or anything like that, but you can figure that out. But let's keep it simple, just 2 straight lines with a little U in the middle, and then this is going to connect in, and this is going to connect in, and these are the trapezius going out to the end of the collarbone, and then on the other side too. And there we have it. If you want to give them an Adam's apple in there, this part is more hollowed out, right? This part is sticking out. This is an oversimplification, but again, the neck is another subject, and I just wanted to give you an idea. But you can see how there's a tube coming up like that. So let's go ahead and put something on here. So the second way you can draw the face from 3/4 views, let me get this fella out of the way, thank you for your help, sir, is you're going to do this, start with the top, draw this little shape in. You can find where the middle is if you want, put a line there, and then let's put a sphere right in there. Alright? From there, we've already got, this is basically going to be the jaw. We're going to come a little bit further down. Just put a line somewhere under there. A little bit further down. Connecting it up, and that's basically the jaw. So you've got the thing. And then remember how we had, well, we'll get to that. Again, we're going to sculpt it. We're just going to do our sculpting. And you know what? Let's put in the neck now. Just a simple two lines like that. 2 lines coming off as a trapezius. And that's it. We don't even need anything more than that for now. So from here, it's kind of the same thing. We're going to want to put the nose in. So let's actually just keep it the same way I did before. And then as you start to do more stuff, you can actually do, okay, so this is going to be one part, and then the next part will be like that. But I don't want to get too overly complicated on nose structure. But there's a lot of ways you can do it. But let's just put a placeholder in. You could even do a rounded circle, but you want to have it sticking out like that a little bit, you know? So let's do it like that. That'll be fun. Let's see what happens. And we'll put the eyes sockets in again, like we said before. Let's make these a little smaller since last time they were too big. And then we put the eyeball inside. Remember the eyeball's in here. So we got the eyeball like that. I'm going to carve out the nose, nostril there. And we've already got a decent, you know, we've got this part coming together. Put the eyebrows on top, right? And you see how it's kind of like this helps it so that the eyes are sunken or recessed into the face. So let's say we erase everything around them, so it's just the eye part. We erase all the construction. All we've got is the eyes. Hopefully, they'll still feel like they're inside. You know, like there's space here. And that they're not sticking out. I don't know how to show you that, but they're like sunken into the head. That's the kind of the important vibe we want to get. One thing you can do is to draw lines like this going all the way around, and that'll kind of give the idea of like, oh, okay, yeah, does it feel like it's sinking in there? If it is, then great. Here again, we'll do our little mountains, and we could do it more subtly this time. But see, that doesn't look, actually that looks fine. But I think when you give it a little more oomph, we'll do our lips with the second M here. And then we'll have it come in. So let's just actually have these come in, have it come out. And that's it. And then it seems like, okay, how far? So he was wearing glasses. That's a little far, it seems. I think the glasses would be about there, meaning the ears would be about there, right? So I'm kind of doing this in my mind. Put the ears here as a half C, and now I'm like, okay, let's carve the jaw in a little bit. You know? And then from here, we're basically just refining. And again, I don't want to get too much into the anatomy and try to get too detailed about things, because I think if you're able to get the construction to this point, then you are able to, you know, to take it from there. You can start to experiment, you can start to find your own style, and you can start to, like, you know, get it to look how you want. You can just work on it from there. And, you know, see, okay, how do I want this to be? How do I want that? Remember that actually, see, this was actually a bad move. This should come from the corner of the eyebrows. All right. You can erase this out. You can erase this out. Okay. You know, the skull seems a little big. We can sculpt it from there. But basically, at this point, you've managed to create a head from 3/4 view that has a bit of dimension to it. You know what I mean? That's the important thing right now. So, I'm not super happy with how these guys turned out, but I definitely feel like they have the general, the general construction and the general three-dimensionality that I would want, and I can continue to work from there. So I'm going to leave it at that, and maybe I'll do a sketchbook diaries, what's it called, video, where I actually go into just drawing a bunch of faces from three-quarter view and sharing like random different tips and kind of like working, showing you my process for studying these like faces from this view or different ways of drawing it, different types of faces, some female faces to soften it up. You know what? I'll show one female face here actually. Let's do that super quickly. So this will show the quick version. All right. So for the female one, maybe I'll make it more like this, where, and I'll probably do a whole nother video on this. Next short, smaller. See how this is rounder, pointy chin, and then the nose is a bit smaller usually. Just gonna kind of keep things stereotypical. Here, you can see there's another way to do the lips, where instead of going like that, which I could do, I started off with this shape. And then similarly, I like to do the eyes the same, similar way. Just gives you an idea of how it might work. And it actually, like when I'm not trying to show the steps, I actually think I do a better job because I'm actually just focusing on drawing it the way, I'm focusing my attention on drawing it rather than demonstrating how to draw it. And that makes a difference. So you can see the forms are a little rounder. And again, I made that same mistake of connecting from here. That's an old habit that I'm still breaking, but it should actually again come from about the corner of the eyebrow. And then that's it. I'm not going to get into hair or anything. But you can see how quickly now I've created this more or less three-dimensional form from three-quarters view. Cool. I hope this has helped and has imbued you with a little bit more pencil power. Alrighty then.